Hello YouTube, Scamp the Wolf here, back with another video for your viewing pleasure, and there's something that we need to address here with Wage War and their album Stigma, and which just came out, and I guess this is a review for it. So, Wage War, last album that came out, very bad in my opinion. Recently did listen to it in preparation for this album to come out. Still wasn't a very good album in my opinion. Very bland-ish metalcore, like radio metalcore, and all that stuff, I guess. And I did re-listen to Pressure, and pretty much the same experience. I guess, like the first four albums, I guess, I listened to their entire discography, like somewhat of their entire discography. And it's just basically they're basically acolytes, in my opinion. They're basically not, there's not very much going on in the music that's interesting, aside from rehashing some metalcore traits, some like radio rock traits, and stuff like that, putting them together, and there you go. That's Wage War, especially on their most recent work, where they combined that together to very somewhat detrimental effect, and the production wasn't really all that good. And there you go, especially on Manic. That album was, I remember when I listened to that album, I couldn't really get through it for the last 20 seconds because it was that bad. But in retrospect, it's probably not the worst album. So now we have Stigma. And I feel like this is why I say we have a little bit of a situation here, because I feel like Stigma, a little bit better than previously. I feel like there's things on it that are a little bit better, but then they just trail off and do whatever they want to do. Which, I mean, it's, you gotta be consistent at your sound and all that stuff. Like, but I was hoping that with Stigma they would try something interesting, and at least the last half of the album, then they went back to doing their own stuff. They went back to the sound that was pretty much on Pressure, and on, they started making clones of songs like The Line and stuff like that, like from Pressure, and there you go. So I thought they were gonna go to more industrial, like, direction. Say that because the show's about to start, and self-sacrifice kind of led me to believe that. Kind of did. Um, it kind of did lead me to believe that they were gonna try some different things with their sound. Like, yeah, I know that the lead vocalist isn't the best lead vocalist. I know that, and if you saw my like back then I was reacting to albums and like saying my opinion right after them. Now I'm just recording them. If you saw that, you know that I don't really think very well of the lead vocalists of this band. Either lead vocalists, I think they're somewhat mediocre. Um, and I will say that, like, even though they're not my cup of tea necessarily, I do think that these tracks are pretty solid, pretty indicative of something different. And then Nails as well, pretty good. Even the closing track, Is This How It Ends, I feel is a pretty good send-off for the album, even though it is sort of radio-ish and stuff like that. It works. It has a riff that works, and it has like musicianship that works pretty solidly. But then we get to the rest of the album. Then we get to things like Blur, going blur, like with the repetition and stuff like that. Then we get to that, and then that's where I'm drawn out of the experience. Then we get to tracks like Hellbent, which is basically a carbon copy of The Line, in my opinion, like, but more like radio friendly or ballady at the seemingly like at the beginning. And I am bored, and lyrically there's not much to really gravitate towards, especially with In My Blood. lyrically, there's not really that much in the lyrics to really gravitate towards. And with an album named Stigma, you would think there would probably be something with maybe like a stigma on mental health or something like that in the lyrics. I mean, there probably is, but the way that they approach the lyrics is like if a middle schooler wrote an essay on mental health or something like that. I don't know. I don't know the correct answer. That's their approach to the lyrics on this. It's not very interesting. It's very like expected. It's very cliche, somewhat, especially when you get to tracks like Hell Bent and Happy Hunting, and even Blur. Even like it's more of the same that we haven't heard before, which is why Wage War is now charting on Active Rock, which is why they're in the top 10 on Active Rock, because, God forbid, we have bands like Spirit Box reach the top 10, or we have North Lane, or we have other bands that have, like, Knocked Loose. I understand Knocked Loose wouldn't be in the top 10 because they're heavier and stuff. We can't have the better bands on metalcore do that, but we have to have Wage War coming in with radio ready, radio friendly music that doesn't really do anything that much. At least for a good majority of the album. I am kind of playing it like this is a bad album. It's not a bad album. It's fine. It's okay. But I just feel like there's much better out there. And they should have done something better to win me back over again. And I was having hope that that would be it. And not necessarily. Like, even the better tracks on this album, like I wouldn't be coming back to a lot. They're good tracks to be like, oh, well, this is good in the moment. But other than like that one moment, I probably wouldn't be coming back to them that much because like there's other bands that would have that kind of a song that's very similar to what I heard on Self-Sacrifice, or very similar to what I heard on Is This How It Ends, and then like they would probably do it way better and with a little more lyrical creativity than what I heard on this album, Stigma. Hopefully, after this point and after pretty much like and eventually end Wage War's career and in their like time as a band, they try something new, they try something innovative, they try something more engaging than this album, but this is probably their best attempt at an album to date, aside from maybe their earlier career, which is, you gotta give them the benefit of the doubt in that because they were just starting out. Now they know better. Now they have had some time to improve, and they show that here, but they don't really do anything like with it after a couple tracks, and that's entirely disappointing. So I don't know. 6 out of 10, probably for me. 6 out of 10. I'm being very generous here, but yeah, that's basically it for this review. So comments down below, all that good stuff. By the way, I'm negative for COVID. Not that that matters, but whatever. I just thought I'd give some detail for this decrepit year so far. So comment section down below, leave a like, all that good stuff. This is Skeptical signing out. Take care.